Are we streaming? Here we go. We're live. Took a little bit. What's up? Had a little connection issue. I think we're fine. Y'all let me know if you can hear me and you're actually seeing me at this moment. I think that it's working. Took a little bit. What's up? There we go. Yeah, I believe we're here. What's up to the chat? Everybody hit the like button if you're not already. Appreciate that. Subscribe, of course, because, once we get to 80,000 subscribers, the Saquon Barkley signed helmet back there becomes somebody's. One of the 80,000. So, we shall see. But I'm getting the comments from you guys, so it does look like we're good to go. It took a little bit longer. I don't know if that was connection issues. Hopefully that's not a bad sign or a bad omen for tonight, but appreciate everybody. IBH, Michael Brown, Cousin Crew, Frank from Philly, saying if we trade for anything, better be defense. That's my only comment, other than what's up, Josh? What's up, Frank? How you doing? Appreciate everybody. It's a good comment as well, because we have lots to get into with the drama of the trade rumors, or not really the drama, but just the craziness of the trade rumors. We're getting close to that point. We've got some time because, November 5th is the trade deadline, but it's going to get wilder, and there's going to be, more speculation, rumors, everything else. That's how it goes, obviously, with the trade deadline. But what's realistic? What do you think is actually going to happen versus total speculation, total clickbait, total, whatever, just pipe dreams? Curious to know. We're going to get into everything as possible. Toa J, first live tune-in. Let's go. Appreciate that. Fob goes, let's run it. John M, what's up? Yo. By the way, I do need to give a quick shout-out. The official sponsor of the channel, Underdog. And if you're not signed up, it's a good time to get signed up because it is NBA tip-off, with NBA tip-off happening here now. You got to get signed up to get the boost for the NBA Pick'ems, which is 20%. You use your 20% NBA boost token, and every pick from now until the 27th or through the 27th automatically gets 20% extra. So shout out to the official sponsor of the channel, Underdog. And if you use my code Philly Special whenever you sign up, the link is in the description. Also in the comments, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So again, kudos to them. The reason we can do so many giveaways. Also the Saquon helmet, as I mentioned. Appreciate them. If you're not signed up, you can do draft leagues if you're in Philly. They do have that option available. Pick them, not quite yet, but they are working on it. So, as far as, I guess, on the topic of pick'em, and if you can get your predictions correct, does anybody legit think that, we'll start off with Cooper Kupp. Does anybody legit think that Cooper Kupp is a potential trade option for the Eagles? I'm curious. I'm curious if there's actually anybody out there that is buying it. Again, there's a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, people trying to, naturally get some clicks here. But does anybody actually believe that? Because, and yes, I understand whenever I put this up here, people are going to be like, hey, watch what accounts you follow and everything else. I totally agree. I don't usually. Someone else send it to me and they're like, hey, whoa, we got, linked to Cooper Kupp. I'm seeing lots of no's, and that's not surprising. I expected to get a lot of no's. I'm curious, though, I think I've only had like one person on Twitter or X whenever I said the 0.0% chance the Eagles are trading for Kupp. But again, this is how rumors start, and then all of a sudden someone takes it and runs with it. But apparently the Eagles are one of the teams, along with the Chiefs and Niners, I believe, if you're even going in for that report. But okay, I'm glad to see all these no's, quite honestly, because it was making me think for a second whenever there was a few comments and a few on social media. But yes, like John says, trade rumors are fun, but I'd say no, LOL. Good. That's one of those that is, and John M saying, plus that dude is hurt all the time. Yeah. The point is, we already went with Jahan Dotson, as Nate made that comment as well. No, but I'd give away Dotson for him. Okay, I get if they would take that, sure, everybody would sign up for that, I guess. But at this point, we've already given up a third-round pick for Jahan Dotson, so I'm glad that we're on the same line of thinking. That the Cooper Kupp, we don't need. Daniel Sand, yeah, no thanks, Cooper Kupp. Howie knows better. Absolutely. You can go different directions. If you're going to make a bigger move or even a semi, we're not talking blockbuster move, but something for the trade deadline, which, again, we've got, like 2 weeks? 2 weeks from the trade deadline? There's still plenty of time. See, now we're getting into some interesting questions, though. The AussieBot says, did anyone think Slay could be a trade piece? Possibly. You look at some different teams around the league, he would probably have to go to a contender. That's the other thing. But it's not impossible. Ohana's saying for a 7th for sure. I mean, okay, Chance is bringing this up. Chance, I'm going to get to your comment because I was interested on D-Hop, right? Because Cooper Kupp, I threw that out there. I was interested to poll the audience, so to speak. I got a resounding no, which is good. I'm going to get to DeAndre Hopkins. Do people still believe that? Do you think that DeAndre Hopkins is an option? Because I feel like it's fairly in the same line of thinking. And yes, we will get to defense as well. Let me mention this super chat, though, first. Justin with a 5 bomb. Appreciate that, man. Apologies on the live stream, by the way. Cheesesteak is still apologetic for deleting the comment. I was able to throw that up there, but, in the chat itself, it got deleted, unfortunately. Not intentional, but we got you. You're all good, Justin. What would you think about signing Davis after Washington and moving him back to linebacker? I thought he was a good off-ball linebacker. Interesting. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't. I guess I wouldn't hate it necessarily. I'm interested though because right now with the defense, I'm gonna be honest. A lot of different positions or a lot of different potentials of where you might go with guys. Yes, I know it's the Giants. Yes, the previous one was the Browns. So, we take it with a grain of salt. But you still held those to no offensive touchdowns. 3 points for the Giants and 9 points for the Cleveland Browns. It's a win. It's a positive line of trajectory, I suppose. I mean, this thing's trending in the right direction. So, I don't mind that. Yeah, I would say at the moment, I need to see a little bit more of this defense. Before I'm just totally in on I guess potential moves where you might get someone try to plug and play. Thankfully, again, I will say this. Thankfully, we have 2 weeks because I'm kind of right now where I'm not full on with I know some people we get both ends of the spectrum, and I get it. I posted the most recent video, the game recap, thoughts, and takeaways and all that. Defense did great, but I'm still not saying, oh my gosh, they are the defense that's going to shut down everybody. It's the Giants and the Browns. But they get Cincinnati, and regardless of what you may think about Cincinnati as a football team as a whole, Cincinnati offers enough as an offense. You go back and look at the games, even the ones they've lost, they've shown enough as an offense to say, okay, if Vic Fangio and the squad can go in there and take it to them, I'm not even saying no offensive touchdowns, but if they can limit the weapons that they have, then okay, you know what? We might be in business there. So, I don't know. I know it's not a direct yes or no, but I still need to see a little bit more. All right, we've got to. We'll continue, yes, with the defense here, because I'm seeing a lot of the comments as I've mentioned D-Hop, and then we'll get into the defense. Actually, let's stick with D-Hop real quick because I was curious. Are there any takers there? Because Chance brought it up. Chance's fault if we're gonna blame anybody. Sorry, Chance. Maxwell saying no receivers. Julian, no. Domo, no. Lots of no's. LA Kid, Hopkins is washed. Stop it. All right, we got a mostly no's. Dirty Air saying Kupp would make more sense than Hopkins. I mean, if I could choose between the two, yeah, I'd probably go with Cooper Kupp. But D-Hop is still contrary to popular belief. Fanny saying that. All right, I'm not seeing too many, maybe one. But Joseph is saying, yeah, we don't need a receiver. John M. Hop is like Julio. Why? Unless you need leadership. That's actually a good point. Yeah, we saw how that turns out. You don't need any more receivers. I mean, heck, you have... Here, I'll find it real quick. Because as far as, what the Eagles were doing in official moves, there's... The Eagles did make a move at receiver. It was just letting one go. There you go. Shout out to Jordan Schultz. But the Eagles released wide receiver Parris Campbell. Campbell had 6 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown in 4 games with Philly, as we all know. He outperformed Jahan Dotson, for better or worse, and I would say probably worse because of the considerations of the trade that we made, yet that's what he did. So, Nonetheless, appreciate it, Parris Campbell, your services. Had the 3 elevations, had to sign him. But naturally, when we think about this, and I'm curious, I'll put this out there also to the chat. By the way, Easy is his name. Says, Josh, finally got my AJ Always Open shirt. The quality is amazing. Great job with the design. Thank you. Appreciate that. Shout out to Nate there. And if anybody's wanting that shirt, feel free to go check out the link in the description. The link to the Let's Run It t-shirts, the AJ Always Open, Slim Reaper. We got a lot of those there. And the quality is, I'm biased, but it's pretty good. But as far as where you guys are at, so I got a few comments in this when this report came out, like, okay, hey, Parris Campbell's being released. Well, this is Howie Roseman making a move for a trade. Realistically, I'm of the side or of the thought process that, look, you got guys who are coming back from the practice window being opened, in an Alberto, in an Ainias Smith, eventually maybe James Bradbury, whether we really want that or not. But you have guys there, so you need to make room. And I think, unfortunately, you're probably seeing that, okay, we feel decent about the receiver room, especially considering the fact that Ainias Smith will be returning. But anybody, other takes, disagreements, other considerations from that side? Does anybody believe that this is a sign for a trade? And I guess if so, what trade is that signifying? Because I'm all open for it. Again, this is just, hey, what are the trade rumors? Why does it make sense? Is it somebody that we should actually give credence to as happening, or is it not at all? So let me know. Let me get to some of these others too. I got to get here. I think I missed some super chats. Let me see. There we go. Latin Inferno. Oh, see, here's one of the takes as far as what they might do, but or compensation. 2025 first, 2026 second, 2026 conditional third for Myles Garrett. Okay, it's a lot. I don't know that they would do that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, LA Kid. No, I'm not going to bring the baby in the stream. I hear you, besides her in the background singing. That's what you guys got. You could hear her. She's great. She's actually, I think, waiting for some dinner, so she's getting very excited, which is why you can hear her. As far as the compensation, though, I think the Browns are taking. They're going to ask for what, 2 firsts? I mean, the way that Myles Garrett is, I think he commands that. You could look at his contract and say, yeah, but you got to eat more of the cap. You're going to take it from the Browns. Could be desperate. They might be. They're open to, some potential moves, I suppose. But ultimately, I don't know. I mean, whenever I look at it, I'm thinking it's got to be 2 firsts. If you could get it for a 2025 first, a second, and then a conditional third, it's not so bad. You still look at salary cap, and that always comes into play. But yeah, Ryan saying get Garrett from the Browns and call it a day. Again, if we could make that happen, Eagles Nest, come on. Okay, look, I know that we said, go ahead and throw out your predictions or your thoughts for trade rumors, but get out of here. Trade for Josh Allen. My gosh. Kenneth saying trade Slay and Jordan Davis and a second for Garrett or Crosby. That's a golden trade. We got young DBs, young D-line depth in both, honestly. Yeah, but who in their right mind is going to say, is Cleveland or Las Vegas going to go, yeah, we could use Slay, we could use JD, and a second. We'll go ahead and give you Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. Look, I'm all for that trade. If we're on Madden and we want to force the trade, absolutely. I'm all for forcing that one. But again, I think it comes down to, especially with Slay, if he gets traded, it's going to a contender that believes that, hey, shout out to Slay. He shut down Malik Neighbors, just like Q did. Slay played well. He did good against Malik Neighbors. So if a team goes in there and looks at that and says, you know what, hey, we could use him, then maybe. But to me, it's only a team that still feels like they're a contender. And I highly doubt that the Cleveland Browns are going, yeah, you know what, we could take a guy who might be close to calling it quits. Like he said, he's considering, he's contemplating retirement. I don't know. That's but yes, again, we come back to if you could force that, absolutely. Who's not doing that trade? Shane with a 5 bomb said, we're good on receivers. I like Garrett. And what's the word on Crosby? Would love that move too. The word on Crosby, good question. So the word on Crosby is He does not want to be a part of a rebuild, or at least that's what he said. So, and understandably so, right? But I believe that Alvin Kamara was not wanting to necessarily be a part of a rebuild, and yet he signed his contract extension today, and it looks like the Saints, I mean, gosh, we talk about teams falling off a cliff, but the Saints, for starting out 2-0, we might have broken them, I suppose, after that game, but they're not the same team. Naturally, yes, they have injuries and all that, so I'm not saying it's just one game and the blueprint necessarily, but I don't know. Money talks to a certain extent, but I could understand if Max Crosby's like, hey, I want to go play for a contender. I definitely don't want to be through a rebuild, and that's all fine and good, but it still comes down to what is Las Vegas, view the compensation worth, and what are they willing to, get back in return for him. I just can't envision that you're getting probably similar, like anything less than start the ask at two first round picks. Maybe that's too steep, and then you have them, back off of that deal. But just with the production, the pressure rate, the focus that you require another opposing offense to even give to that type of guy. I mean, I'm seeing all the comments in here. It's not surprising that like everybody's for that. And yeah, there's lots of, hey, Crosby's not going to happen. Ryan's not getting Garrett or Crosby. I get that. LA Kid, Crosby vaguely suggested he'd be open to a trade. He did. But it takes two to tango, so of sorts. But that's kind of it's the team needing or wanting to do that. Let's see. I think I got another. Yeah, I got a couple more super chats. I'm getting to those. Apologies for the delay here. Jordan, appreciate the 5. Says Kupp has cap hits of $29 million. Oh, here we go. Yes, $29 million. I didn't even bring up the cap. I honestly kind of scrapped it once you guys started saying no. But this is another great point for us. So $29 million for 2024, 2025, and $27 million in 2026. Rather than get a guard tackle for the O-line or a cheaper pass rusher. Yeah, there's a million different ways we could spend that money. No pun intended, I guess, but you know what it's worth. So I'm totally right there with you. Brent Kincaid, let's go, man. Welcome to the Let's Run It membership. I think that's maybe a re-up there. You got the vintage helmet, the black one, so you're starting at an older membership tier, but still, nonetheless, Brent, welcome officially. Actually, on that note, it brings up a good time. So this coming Friday is the last Friday of the month, which means we're going to be doing a giveaway for the next Eagles game, and it'll be for any Eagles game of your choice for only members because, it's a special membership perk. So if you want to become a member of the channel and get in on the giveaway, you have now until this coming Friday to take part in that. And I will spin on Friday, and someone will win it. It's based on your length of membership as well as the tier level. So it's kind of like two multiplying factors of how you get more entries. So shout out to, is it Frozen? Oh, you got to be kidding me. Am I back or are we frozen? Is it still frozen? I'm trying to look at the other stream. Are we live or are we still frozen? Oh, we're back. Okay, I'm seeing. Okay. Whoo! I thought we were gonna have to. Oh man, I thought it was gonna be like the other night. I was gonna have to just end the stream and show back up. I didn't even take a sip this time, so I'm trying to look up at the stream and say if we're still gonna get a ton of comments saying we're frozen. Okay, we made it. We're still here. I don't know where I was actually talking whenever it froze because I probably saw those comments a little bit late. But again, shout out to John M. for the memberships. Everybody got in on those. John broke the stream. John gifted the 5 memberships and broke the stream. So, but we are back as John with the 2. Appreciate that, John. Thank you. Let me also bring up here Christians. I hadn't gotten to Christians yet. The 10. Let's see. Jalen barely throws it to John Dotson and Dallas Goedert. We definitely don't need another wide receiver that we won't use no matter how good they are. And that is also another great point. Valid for Cooper Kupp, for DeAndre Hopkins, for insert any other receiver. I don't care who it is. More than enough mouths to feed. And quite honestly, I mean, we've got... Oh, LA Kid, it stopped whenever I was talking about the giveaway. Okay, well, two tickets, any game of your choice, if you're a member. That's basically all I was saying. I'm not going to keep going over that, but... Andrew and Josh's defense, sometimes he's just very still and looks frozen. Okay, I'll take that, I guess. It was a long frozen stream, but we made it. To that note, though, of the offense, I will say, how about this pass? We'll get into some of the defense as well, but it just kind of automatically made me think of this as far as the offense and wide receiver, enough mouths to feed already. There is a identity that the Eagles found, which I talked about in the last video, and it's running the football. It's Brian. Yeah, keep feeding 26. Jorge, see that? Oh, there you go. Yes, okay. Brent saying my first membership was lifted, so it only made sense to re-up. Appreciate that. Trenton saying offense will look crisp. Yep. And was at the game. Okay. Joe says that's what we need to do. Texan Eagle, I can only go to the Dallas game, week 10 here in Arlington. Let's go. I thumbs when I said Saquon would run 193 in your last live stream. I don't sound so crazy now. LOL would have been there had he ran the fourth. That's totally true. You were right. I was thinking, okay, 150, that'd be solid. I didn't know. There was definitely a little bit of a cautious optimism, I guess, going into the game, because I thought that, he has the ability. We have the offensive line. We'd love to see some outside zone. We'd love to see under center, some play action off of that, pin pull, you name it, right? Like lead ISO with a fullback, every type of running design that you could think of, we could and should do. But, I was a little bit skeptical of like, all right, with his coaching staff, with the play calls, are we actually going to see that? But yes, you're perfectly correct. I was wrong. I don't mind admitting I was wrong. We saw a much better, much improved run offense and a team that is definitely going in with, better intentions, better identity with the squad. So shout out to Kellen Moore. Shout out to Nick Sirianni for that. It is much better because of that. We'll say that. Also, let me get to this other super chat as well. There is Shane with the other 5. Appreciate another 5 here. Said, who would you want, Josh? Crosby, Garrett, or Parsons? I honestly think Crosby is outperforming both of them. Man, that is a really good question. And I will answer that, but I am curious too, as we'll get back to the offense as well. But as I'm getting these super chats, where's people in the chat going with? I mean, if you're choosing out of those 3, which one do you choose? Blake says, I hope we go all out for Crosby. Him and Philly culture is bread and butter. Yeah, I still, man, I mean, I could be talked into, this might be crazy. I don't know. I could be talked into Crosby or Garrett. Micah Parsons is good. He could be really good. You put him in the right system. Yes, he's versatile. Like, there's nothing really wrong necessarily from that. But and I see a lot of Parsons. I get that. I just wonder with like all of his. And I this may be double standard. I know this, but there's just some part of me with like the podcasting. It's not always that podcast is bad for everyone. I'm not saying that, but like just kind of the beef that he's gotten into with some players. I don't know. I could potentially get that. I understand. Yeah, Ian Parsons is an Eagles fan. Trenton Parsons just so Dallas loses him. Yeah, I could get. I mean, John M saying Crosby like his attitude. Parsons a diva. James going give me Garrett. Myles Garrett's a dog. Very mixed here. Actually, Shane, that was a fantastic question, by the way. Let me just start a poll. If you could choose, if you could choose only one, who are you trading for? And I'm gonna put this out here because it looks very mixed based on the comments. So we'll go Myles Garrett Micah Parsons. Chan, give me Parsons. I just want to see his brother throw up. There are other reasons for it. Yes, I don't deny that there's some positivity. So, okay, I'm putting the poll out there because I am curious where this one ends up. I probably personally, though, I keep going back and forth between Crosby or Myles Garrett, either one. And I honestly don't know. Like, it would have to come down for me just compensation-wise. I would be happy with either one. If you get a better deal with one versus the other, then yeah, I'd probably lean in that direction. But all three are game changers. All three make huge differences. We've seen it time in, time out. There's no question about it. Yes, if it sticks it to Dallas or we can have a Dallas revenge game, okay, I can see that. I can see those comments. But I don't know. I might be a little bit more inclined to go with a Crosby or Garrett. Johnny with 5. Appreciate that. So, yeah, Josh, my wife wants a jersey now because of his comment to let the young guys eat. I will definitely hook it up. Heck yeah. Saquon jersey is an absolute must. So, who doesn't want a Saquon jersey? All right, we got 47% so far. It's early. It's early within the chat or within the poll. There's only, wow, there's actually more than I expected this early on. 115 votes so far. 48% say Myles Garrett, 47 now, 32 with Max Crosby, and 20% Micah Parsons. So I actually kind of thought it'd be a little bit closer. But out of 500-ish people hanging out here, we're fairly decided. We could have an upset. We'll leave it up there for a little while, but it's quite a bit of Myles Garrett. We'll say that. Justin with a 5 more. Heck yeah, appreciate that, man. Josh Hines Allen is also a potential trade target who might not cost as much as Garrett or Crosby. That's a great point. Yes. In terms of realistic, I shouldn't say realistic because I'm not meaning this in to rain on people's parade here. Because I know there's a lot of hopes of like, hey, let's get one of these guys. Let's get a dominant pass rusher. We saw what this team can be, right? Or we've seen some shades of what this pass rush can be. I mean, heck, hey, shout out to Vic Fangio, by the way, because in that game against the Giants, and I talked about it in my last video, but the different alignments that he was using and blitzing, but then dropping the edge rusher into coverage, yes, I'm with you. I don't necessarily love the idea of seeing a 36-year-old Brandon Graham guarding Malik Neighbors, or at least lined up on a Malik Neighbors, but, that's the blessing and curse of what Fangio does in dropping pass rushers into coverage. It worked better, and it confused the Giants. They got outcoached, but it is just the Giants. I still believe that, Justin, you're probably on a more realistic track of Trenton's throwing out TJ Watt. Okay, we just name anyone at this point for potential pass rushers. I think realistically, it's going to be a guy who can be a rotational, solid backup. Sure, if he needs to add some depth, but we're probably not going to get a blockbuster or another blockbuster trade. I don't know. I could be wrong. As you're still voting on which should it be, could it be, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, do you expect it to be, how realistic is it? Josh B, unrealistically, I want TJ Watt, best defensive player in the league. I'm not arguing with you, but I'm glad you said unrealistically to start that one off. Are there several in here? Because, again, I'm trying to, if you can, try to put the realistic hat on as we're thinking about this. Realistically, do you see one of those potentially having? No, I appreciate Trenton. I appreciate you having fun. I like the skeptical or the speculation within it. But I do want to know, though, like if you're trying to be realistic, which ones, if there's any, is it realistic to see a Myles Garrett? Is it realistic to see a Micah Parsons, a Max Crosby? And if it is, what do you have to trade? And try to, be like, it's easy to just force trades on Madden. I get it. But like, if we're going to try to be as legit about the Donnie 30% chance to get Myles, I would take those. I mean, that's a great percent chance for me, quite honestly. Mike asking, what are the rumors? Well, the rumors are that a lot of teams are calling or inquiring about the Browns. And then, people are trying to link it to the Eagles because we're close-ish to the trade deadline. Cooper Kupp was linked, apparently, if you believe that. I don't know that I do necessarily. I haven't seen, a very legit source based on Cooper Kupp, but linked to the Eagles. Howie Roseman making calls. I mean, here's the thing. I suppose that I could see it because Howie's always going to make calls. It won't matter basically who it is in the league. At the very least, just make a call to gauge the interest and make a call to see, hey, what's the asking price, right? Like at the very least, even if the Eagles aren't interested, Howie Roseman makes a call and said, hey, what are you asking for Cooper Kupp? It gives him some more market intel to be like, all right, well, they have a receiver at this number, this price, this is what they're asking. Just gives him some weapon, some info, right? Some ammunition. If and when he were to ever make a trade, even as the trade deadline is approaching, keep all your options open. But no, I don't necessarily believe that there's a legit Cooper Kupp. But King Izzy, bro Howie is a madman. I can see him going all in for Myles or Crosby. He is wild. I mean, I can't say it's impossible. I did say it's impossible for Cooper Kupp. That one seems completely wrong. Shane L, if we get Crosby, it's a wrap. I mean, honestly, if we get any of them, not that Mike is really up there as much, but Crosby or Myles, I think it's a wrap. Drew saying Eric Armstead's the best we're going to get unless we snag a linebacker. I think I saw a question earlier, and I apologize. I missed it. I can't remember who was asking that question, but do I think that we could beat the 49ers? Yes, I absolutely do. I think it'd be tough, but yes, we can absolutely beat the Niners. This defense is different. I'm not ready to go overboard and, crown them or anything like that, but they're different. And at no point basically in the season, I mean, we had our small spurts last year, but really no point you looked at it and you're like, oh, hey, 7th in scoring defense and basically top 10 in all the major statistical categories that you would look at for a defense, except for the turnover game. And yes, that's significant. But I guess like you could look at it as a negative side. You could look at it as a positive side. For me, I'm going to go, well, it can't get worse. And I know sometimes I say that, and I jinx it and everything else. It literally can't get worse. Like you can't be worse than where we're at now. We're dead last in turnovers. So it's not getting worse than it is. 2 takeaways in 6 games. But, you're playing up to the level of, all right, 7th in scoring defense, top 10 in sacks, in passing yards allowed. I believe it's rushing. I don't know if it's yards per carry. There's some rushing category. There's also total yards. So like top 10 in a lot of areas. If you're already there and you're not getting takeaways, then just imagine if and when this squad starts taking the ball away or Q doesn't drop interceptions. This thing could get good in a really drastic way if you're creating turnovers as well, and then shortening the field for the offense. Yeah, I'm optimistic about that. But then, yeah, if you throw in one of these guys, sure. Let's see. Daniel, I don't know how he pulls the trigger, giving up 2 firsts for Garrett. Yeah, Bobby's betting it's a quiet trade deadline for the Birds. I think they might make one move, but again, I don't think that it's a blockbuster. I did ask Anthony DeBono, which, by the way, make sure to keep an eye out for that. He's got a Eagles mailbag that he's going to be coming out with, I believe, tomorrow or maybe the next day. And I was curious, so I just posed the question to Anthony because Anthony is the man with a plan and can look ahead and had some insightful analysis and predictions. He did, we don't give him too much crap for it, but he did get the Saquon projection wrong. The 0.0% chance the Eagles get Saquon Barkley, and yet here we are. So again, nothing is impossible, but realistically, Peyton, the deadline is November 5th, Tuesday. I think that's the election too. Very, very, very busy Tuesday evening, Tuesday night is what it'll be. Daniel, Bears made a call for Garrett. Yeah, we've had several of those. Rich Lou, let's run it. Let's go. Blake Storm, yes, that's another good point, too, that I was bringing up as far as Cincinnati. And Burrow is the type of QB to challenge our rookies. I'm calling a pick from Q and Coop. Or Q or. Okay. How about both? That'd be nice. Nicholas with a 5-bomb. Appreciate that. Linebackers in need. Would you go all in? And who would you have the dot? I guess who would you have wearing the dot? It is a need. By the way, yes, John, good point here. Make sure to get out and vote. Voted today. doing your job. I'll always say this. If you ever complain, because there may be reasons to complain, but you definitely should at least vote. Otherwise, you don't really have a right to. You're forfeiting your right to complain, even if your candidate doesn't win. So that's all the political talk we'll get into. As far as, yes, Brent, it's mentioned November 5th, but then linebacker, it is a need. I don't think, I'm trying to look at it realistically as well. I don't see Howie Roseman and anybody going out and making a big-time trade for a linebacker right now. They let Devin White walk. They're confident enough in Nakobe Dean. And shout out to Nakobe. He played a much better game. I mean, a phenomenal game compared to what we've seen. Not as many missed tackles. He missed 1 or 2 from what I watched or saw, but it wasn't as bad. And blitz-wise, he was really, really good. He showed what he can bring in the blitz, and we've seen that a couple times on occasion, but I think that he showed it to the extreme of Vic Fangio, and like I mentioned, only bringing 4 pressure or four men, to pressure, but he was dropping someone back. So it was kind of like a quasi-blitz, whip action, utilizing the full bag in Fangio's defensive play calling. But you saw benefits there. I would just say that if there's like drastic difference or drastic areas or issues that pop up against Cincinnati, maybe an injury, I could see where they might go all in for a linebacker or make a bigger splash. But unless you get something like that, I think that they're content. I think they're going to say, you know what, we got Nakobe Dean. He's hopefully getting better. He's hopefully playing with more consistency. And Zach Bond. I mean, Zach Bond's been playing really well. So you add that in. The pass rush continues to get better. The secondary is great. Cooper DeJean. I think Cooper DeJean is one of those that kind of unlocked the defense of sorts because since he's gotten into the lineup, he's been the highest graded defender for the Eagles, and the middle of the field has been way less attractive for QBs to throw over or just even had any success. So you watch the film from this last one, even a couple games, but definitely this last one against the Giants, and his working in tandem with the linebackers over the middle of the field, especially when they were in zone, and the handoff, so to speak, to the linebackers of a receiver working across the middle, it was phenomenal. I mean, it was really good. Yes, there's still instances you can look at and say, oh, okay, hey, you got lucky, you got fortunate, someone broke away. But it's both sides working in tandem, and the pass rush helping out the secondary when they have a little bit of a slip-up, and the same thing. When the pass rush is not getting home as quickly, the secondary is holding up their end of the bargain, and you've seen them come down a little bit more in press coverage. So, Nicholas, no, you're not wrong. I'm not saying Nakobe's, I'm not saying he's not missing tackles. He's missing tackles still. It was better this last game. And I mean, if I get to choose personally, I would say, yeah, let's go ahead and make a move. Let's get another linebacker, or let's get a spend more. Let's because I think that I feel this way, and a lot of us do, that linebackers may be more important than possibly Howie Roseman dedicates resources, or possibly how he views a linebacker. I just don't think they will. Not saying from what Dean has done that he's the answer. Texan Eagle, yeah. DeJean made the difference. Putting in the slot was perfect. He's playing physical. By the way, Coop may not be returning punts. I think that's something to keep an eye on. I think he will pretty quickly move away from returning punts. It might be this week because of Ainias Smith, and as I mentioned earlier, you had Parris Campbell getting cut. Ainias Smith is very close to returning. The practice window has already been open, so they could bring him back at any point. But the comment in the press conference, Vic Fangio was saying, like, yeah, I don't really love it. I don't really love that my starting slot cornerback is returning punts. And, hey, no offense to Michael Clay, but, defensive starter probably has a little bit more say in terms of where or what he's going to do than your starting punt returner, especially when you have other weapons. Like, hey, you could put Zay back there. You could put Ainias Smith back there. I think that's what we're going to see. I think Ainias Smith will get activated. He'll become the returner, and you move Coop to the full-time slot corner, because the last thing we would want, even though he's been phenomenal at returning kicks, is Coop to get injured, and then all of a sudden we're saying, well, hey, anybody want to throw Avonte Maddox back in there at the slot when we could have had Coop? Not really. Let's see. Dirty Air looks like we can see Trot start this weekend. Possibly. I don't know. It depends on. Well, I guess I don't know. Are we talking about injuries wise or just like someone getting benched? I don't know if. I don't know if he's actually getting more of those reps. Unless I missed something. I don't think they released the injury report yet. I think that's tomorrow. LA Kid need to give Dean time. Beyond levels, Higgins versus Mitchell going to be crazy. Yeah, he's going to get another test. He's lived up to every one of them so far. I mean, Q's been unbelievable. Really, both Q and Coop in the limited action for Coop. But both of them, I would say, have lived up to the hype. Disrupty, yes, that's another, great point. I didn't even mention Will Shipley. See, you've got plenty of options, so that's why I say, like Cooper DeJean, he's a starter now on defense. Don't put him out there. Kai, what's up? Says, love the show. Always great content, and your optimistic point of view matches my energy. Go Birds. Go Birds. Appreciate that. We try to stay optimistic, but we had a little bit of a little rocky up and down last couple weeks, but Jalen's not turning the ball over. And, when he does not turn the ball over, the Eagles are, I believe, like 12-1 when he's careful with the ball, I should say. Not that that's everything, but again, going back to the identity of the offense, like, I get it. And is it a knock on a quarterback to say that he's making $255 million and you're not really running it through him or saying it's a pass-first offense? Sure, maybe, but this is this team. Like, this team is a good team when we can run the football. When we can run the football first and then set up things off of it, off of play action, take some deep shots. I don't necessarily love Sirianni's, like, bigger emphasis on hunting for big plays. If big plays come, that's great, but every time that I hear that from him of like, this offense, we got a big plays, 20-plus yards, and they're leading the league, which is good, but I just get a little bit worrisome whenever I'm like, okay, but if that's the main focus, we're hunting big plays, it feels like that can quickly be taken away, and then all of a sudden, do we have the luxury or the weapons, or I guess I should say more like the confidence, not the weapons. We have the weapons, the confidence to say, all right, yeah, we can methodically move our way down the field. But if you stick with the run game, you still have more than enough. Like, use a play action, hurts the threat of his legs and actually running. You saw it in a few carries against New York, so keep it up. Yeah, Daniel's saying, yeah, no, I don't want Avonte back. I see several people immediately jumping on the Avonte Maddox, so I knew that was coming. I mean, even mentioning that comment. But Brandon Grove, appreciate the 5, man. Said BG Sweat are likely gone next season. A big defensive end trade makes sense beyond 24. Garrett, Crosby are signed through 26 and fit the window for paying Nolan Smith or Jalix Hunt. It's a good point. Yes, I mean, you look at how he's the thing is, when I look at the cap structure, again, great point for the cap. But when I look at the cap structure, I'm not concerned at all about like, oh, hey, we can't afford so-and-so. Like, to me, the idea of you can't afford insert whoever you want to is not valid. Like, it just doesn't work for Howie Roseman and the Eagles. He will figure out a way to make the financials work. And I get that there's more involved in that. But I'm just saying, like, we have seen it time and time again where it's like, wait a second, he's got to have like all these guys and, like Dallas especially, but a lot of other teams going, oh, well, you just wait till you have to pay everybody. It's not going to work. You're going to lose a bunch of players. You're going to have terrible seasons. Howie gets it. Like, Howie understands how to stretch the cap, play off of the years, the future years, knowing that the cap is most likely increasing, taking advantage of that, paying up front, the bonuses, all the other stuff. So when it comes to financially, absolutely, like, that's not as big of an issue to me as it is for trade value. Like, if you're talking about, hey, how many first-round picks do we have to give up for a Myles Garrett, for a Max Crosby. It feels like the initial request, the initial offer would be a multiple first-round picks for a Myles Garrett. I assume for a Max Crosby as well. But, do you give that up for those types of guys? I can hear the argument on one side of going, yeah, they're bona fide superstars. Like, there's no question. You're not even having to play a guessing game of, oh, well, maybe we draft someone and maybe they turned into a stud. But there's some give and take, as we all understand. Like, if you get a first-round pick, for example, like a Jalen Carter, you got to get on a rookie contract that you're paying a lot less than what eventually he's going to get paid in a couple of years. Like, when he gets his re-up, it's going to be like, oh, my gosh. I mean, he could be close to setting the market. He could definitely be up towards the very top. I believe that. So it kind of goes back and forth. But again, ultimately, financials-wise, I'm not as concerned about, because I think Howie could figure that out. It's just, do you give up 2 first-round picks? And I don't know. Maybe there's more that they're asking for. But do you give up 2 first-round picks for either of those guys? By the way, the poll officially, it looks like it's a runaway. We got 49% Myles Garrett. Yeah, I was saying between Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. Micah Parsons ended up getting second, though, 26%, unless there's a couple more that vote for it. So you got some time. But as of right now, 26% Micah Parsons, 25% Max Crosby. Feel like I would go in that direction, either the Myles Garrett or the Max Crosby, but could definitely see it with the Myles Garrett. That dude's just insane. I don't know. Again, I mean, if you look at Fangio's system, you could definitely make the argument, though, does Micah Parsons fit better than all of those? Not that that's going to be... The Myles Garrett makes some sense because Cleveland is trying to, see potentially. I don't know that they're going to trade him, but see if they could get something to work. And then Max Crosby. Mike is not. You're not able to trade for. It's just for fun of the poll, but you're not going to be able to trade. Even if Dallas was saying, "All right, let's go ahead and just punt on the season. We're just going to give you whoever you want. You just come calling." They're not going to be giving Micah Parsons to a division rival. Heck, they look at what happened in New York, and they didn't even trade. They just allowed Philly to swoop in and sign Saquon. So I get that part of it, but yeah, I'm of the same mindset. Like John's saying, Parsons fits the system certainly better. Yeah, a lot of comments there. But potentially, if he does not sign with Dallas, if they do not extend Micah Parsons, then all of a sudden we could be seeing a guy who wanted to be here. We can tell from his podcast. We could tell from his interviews, everything else. Daniel, though, not believing it, not buying it. Shooting that one down. You think they'll extend Micah Parsons? Probably so. They would be crazy not to. I mean, as good as he is, but let's see here. Tyler, good comment here. Interesting. Asking as far as, do you get Max Crosby or Myles Garrett, and how much are you willing to give up? Tyler saying, let's say we go into the draft and we want to go edge. Most likely scenario would be Michael Williams and future first player next year. If you give me that, just go and get me Garrett. Yeah, if you're looking at projections, I mean, there's not you get this guy and you hope that he turns into a superstar. So I could back that. Yeah, Brandon also more than likely drafting late the next couple years, and you're not getting a Garrett or Crosby. Seems more realistic. If you were going to do it, take one of those. Coyote saying Garrett's the top option right now, no doubt about it. Definitely seeing that as far as the chat and the poll here. Let's see. Muhammad saying Nolan Smith, trust him. There you go. Psych Motor thoughts on getting Uche from the Patriots. Yeah, I don't know. Depends on how much they're wanting from him, quite honestly. Not totally against it, but it's just like, you want to get a little bit more rotational depth. I've seen some people mention Zadarius Smith. There's a couple others out there. You could get some depth, but I don't know. To me, it's, will they make a big splash, or is it just kind of like, all right, little bit of reinforcements, but we believe in who we have? And they are playing better. Again, I talked about Nolan Smith on my last video, and you guys know I'm going to hype up Nolan whenever I can, but playing a whole lot better. Like, again, we still look at who the talent is, but if in a couple more weeks we're saying, hey, look at that, Nolan Smith, maybe another sack, couple tackles, good stops in the run game, pressure rate, then I'm just saying, could be beginning to turn a corner. 23.8% pressure rate, by the way, from Nolan Smith, who I believe that's first. I think it is. I'm not 100%. I think that's first in terms of Eagles pass rushers over the last 2 weeks. So even with the smaller sample size and even with the lesser competition, 23.8% for pressure is nothing to shake your head at. See if you can keep that going. Hopefully continue with the power and speed, because, previously it was like, okay, he's got the speed, but that's all he has. Can he continue to develop the bull rush, the other moves? Sky saying worst case, at least get Trey Hendrickson. So you're in on somebody. It's got to be someone, even if it's not one of the others. Dirty air, absolutely. Josh Jew likes Nolan Smith. By the way, we are going to have Nolan Smith on this show at some point. We will. Brandon Graham actually confirmed, to Thomas and I both, he'll make sure and get that to happen. It may be next offseason, but it will happen. So, for people wondering. Muhammad, yes, Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter is a good duo. And shout out to PHLY. I think it was the stream during the game, or it was certainly afterward. But the breakdown of Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter combining for that sack, you got to love it. But they were working together in the high-low pass rush to be able to kind of set it for basically for the quarterback to step up and then Jalen Carter to finish him off. And it's like, hey, look, they've been playing together for a long time. This is what we hoped to see. But I think it's slowly coming together. Daniel asking, is this confirmed about Nolan? It is confirmed about Nolan. I appreciate the question, but it is. Buddha saying, speak it into existence. We are. In fact, there's also another, I don't exactly know how much I want to share here yet. There's a really cool giveaway that's going to happen when the channel here hits 100,000 subscribers. And it will involve maybe some Philly dogs. That's I'll leave it at that. But there'll be some really cool stuff happening. How about that? So hit the sub button and share with, your friends or your enemies. I probably shouldn't have done that. That was mean. I know. I'm not sharing all the details yet. I can't yet, but it is for sure. We'll say that. Super Bowl ticket? Yeah, maybe. We'll see. It depends. They need to be able to... I can't just give one away unless it's... Maybe if the Eagles were to get there, and maybe depending on how much we're talking about. But, and then the channel will be at 100,000. We do some sort of cool giveaway. Looney Tunes just want a nasty, smart linebacker that scares the offense. Yeah, how great would that be? Let's see here. Had a member with... I lost that for a second. William, let's go. Welcome to the Let's Run It membership tier. Either that or it's the re-up, but still, nonetheless, appreciate that. And you're also into the ticket giveaway that'll be this Friday. I'll be spinning for any and all members. Chance to win tickets to any Eagles game of your choice, which, again, love everybody. Subscribers, members, everyone there, but, a little extra support to the members. You guys are, paying, hanging out. Also for the Hungry Dogs on the Zoom calls. So, but appreciate that. Hannah with a 10. Said fans are too hard on Jalen. Yes, I mentioned Jalen a second ago, so here we go. But fans are too hard on Jalen. He was drafted young, and he deserved money. He took us to a Super Bowl. I think he's going through growing pains as he finds his franchise. QB. I think he's going through growing pains as he finds his finds his franchise like offensive coordinator. I feel like that's where I'm going to take that for as like finds his franchise offensive coordinator or head coach or becomes a franchise QB, something like that. Kelsey was someone who gave him criticism he'd take. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, Jalen is in the spotlight for all the right reasons and wrong reasons. He's the quarterback of the Eagles. He's the quarterback in the NFL is going to get a lot of the spotlight. But yes, just as much as if he plays well, there's still nitpicking, and just as much as if he plays poorly, there's, and I'm guilty of both sides. I will not lie. I'm guilty of both sides at times of, hey, maybe it's a little bit too optimistic or positive if it's not giving enough to like, well, hey, there's some struggles, and or on the other side, at times I've been like, yeah, he struggled. He's not seeing the field well, and all this other, and then I'll get comments that'll say like, oh, you're hating on Jalen, and it goes both ways. But I hear your point. Like, there are some growing pains. We understand that. He's had some issues, some consistent issues, but he's also had a different offensive coordinator. So to your point there, like, he's been to a Super Bowl. He's set some records. Ultimately, though, I still believe it comes back to just not trying to do too much. And again, maybe that's crazy to say for a $255 million quarterback. And I had some comments saying like, no, he's got to be playing better, all this other stuff. He really doesn't. And like, the longer that this time goes on, okay, I see the other two. Franchise QB identity. Cool. Okay. I was going to say, I felt like it was somewhere along those lines. But I got you. So I think it's, as time goes on, the salary cap, the way that even works out, he'll be a I don't know what, top 10 pay or like 10th highest paid, 12th, 14th. I mean, it depends on whenever he gets his next contract or based on who the other quarterbacks are that get paid. But eventually, I mean, Jalen's already where like 7th, 8th, somewhere in that range for highest paid, depending on where you're looking at, like average annual value, guaranteed money, all that, but like somewhere in that range. So the deal already looks much better than whenever it first got signed. And as time goes on, the cap's going to continue to increase and Jalen's going to continue to fall based on those rankings. So I still will continue to say, like, Jalen Hurts is more than good enough to win you a Super Bowl if he does not turn the ball over. And he's just got to distribute the football. He just needs to be good. You don't need him to be elite. It would be great if he's elite. And I understand the arguments that I've seen of like, no, you paid him all this money, he's got to be an elite quarterback and all this stuff. It would be great if he was. But he does not have to be, because this Eagles team, as we've seen, like, you have way more than enough talent. Just don't turn the ball over. Don't turn the ball over. Don't put your defense in a bind. And you should be able to do more than enough. Yes, we have issues in the first quarter. Yes, there's things that still are certainly on Jalen, that are certainly on some coaching, certainly on play calling, all this other stuff. But there is more than enough on this team that makes me believe if they can start clicking a little bit better earlier in games, you see that the makeup of this team, it was built to to have the lead. It was built to get up on a team early, run the football first, have play action. It makes the pass rush so much easier. It makes the defense so much easier because they are like, all right, hey, we're making the offense, the opposing offense, one-dimensional. So yeah, again, Jalen does not have to be elite, and that is okay. Even if he never becomes an elite quarterback, he can be good enough with this team. We had lots of different takes on that, but Brent's saying if the Eagles get to the Super Bowl, 2 tickets, 50-yard line. Jeez, yeah, not even just 2 tickets, but 2 tickets, 50-yard line. It would have to be some crazy giveaway. Actually, I like that one. No, it's not. I'm not giving away some puppies, Joey Bag of Donuts. It's something legit with the team. I'll just say that. We'll leave it at that as far as the giveaways. of course, there's some trade Hurts talk. We'll see that as well. Patrick, I hear you there. Yeah, Hurts throwing over the middle. Again, it's the constant, constant question, debate, whatever. Who is it? Like, is the coaching? Is it Jalen? Is it a combination of that? Is it the tendencies? But yes, Jalen has missed some plays, and he certainly missed Devontae Smith in the game. Could have had a much easier one that way. It's fair, though. I would agree. Looney Tunes offense, to me, still lacking energy and pace. Didn't look smooth enough, though. Looked better. Still lacking the creativity. I don't know. Maybe in this one, and that's where I'll be interested with Cincinnati. As Daniel's asking, so what do we think about the Bengals matchup? We could talk about that a little bit. I will be going into more details, probably the Friday night hangout, and getting into, kind of the preview and everything else there. But it's going to be more of an opportunity to prove something and also possibly get more creative. I think that going into this game, like the offensive game plan was, hey, look, we're probably going to lean somewhat on the run because a combo of we believe we can beat them. We have a mismatch there. We've got a little bit of O-line injury issues with Jordan Mailata, but also when you run the football, it sets a lot of things up. So, hey, go ahead and do that, sure. But then ultimately you go back to, well, once it started really working, then it's a Saquon revenge game of sorts, and why don't you just keep it up? So, I don't know. I think they didn't have to get creative. I mean, I'm with you. Yes, there's not enough yet for this offense. It needs to be more creative. It can't just be run the football only and then only basically only take deep shots to A.J. Brown. That'll win you some games. But, yeah, if we want to get to where we want to go, it does need to evolve. It does need to get a little bit more complex. But that's where I'm going to be interested to see, because I think against New York, there wasn't as much of a threat. It's like, okay, they don't have the offense to just, win in a shootout. They're not going to just go and score tons and tons of points. So you had the advantage. Eventually took a little bit for the offense to get going, but once it did, then just capitalize and move on. Cincinnati, we'll see. I think they need to have some more creativity, more plays over the middle, please. Jalen, look over the middle, deliver the ball over the middle. I don't know. Yeah, seeing comments as far as the Ravens. Ravens look crazy good. Unbelievable. George is believing, though, if we beat up on the Bengals, we're going on a run. So there you go. That's what we need to do. North Philly Mo saying we building, be patient. The beauty of this all is we're building this thing, so you can't be patient, as you said, but also the part of the schedule that we're in, it's perfect. Like, if we're looking at a moment where coming out of the bye week and we have some questions, we have some issues, we're not exactly sure about the defense in some areas, we're not exactly sure about the offense in some areas, combination of both, then it has and does set up perfectly. It's an opportunity for the team to capitalize, and I'll just go ahead and put it up there, obviously, so that we could see it officially, but it's one of those moments as we continue to talk about. Like, you had, coming out of the bye, we're like, okay, hey, you know what, Cleveland, hopefully it's a get-right game. Kind of was. Shaky. Yes, should not have been that close. All these other things. But you know what? Fine. It was still decent. New York, better. Run the football. Hopefully you stick with that. Cincinnati, definitely more of a challenge. Certainly at Cincinnati, a team that's hungry, trying to claw their way back into a playoff race. Still plenty of season, yes, but, started out on the wrong foot. Going to be tough. They have a good offense. Should be a solid game. Eagles are underdogs officially. I mean, opened up as, a 1.5 point underdogs. I think it's 2.5 now, if I'm not mistaken. But the Eagles underdogs, that tells you something about Vegas lines and where the belief is there. But it'll be a difficult game. I think it'll be a tough one. But if you win that, you got Jacksonville, which, I mean, Jacksonville is Jacksonville. We got flexed out of Sunday Night Football, by the way. So if you were planning to go to that game, it is the first Kelly Green game. But unfortunately, it won't be a night game. It'll be your 4:05. I guess, it's getting darker this time of year, but it won't be a true Sunday Night Football game. But Jacksonville is Jacksonville. Like, that should be a win. And by the way, I don't think that's as much speaking towards the Eagles for us getting flexed out of that game. I think it's more speaking towards Jacksonville being that bad and the record and everything else for them to say, like, yeah, we're good. We're going to go with a different team. Now, for them to take the Colts, I don't know. A little bit odd, but whatever. That's fine. We have several opportunities, several other primetime games. So, you know what? Let's keep going. Let's keep having these early games, flying under the radar, figuring things out, building some momentum, getting some confidence for the younger players. They get some games under their belt. And then, you know what? If we win against Cincinnati, I think we should win against Jacksonville because it's Jacksonville, home game, Kelly Green, all that. And then at Dallas. And as bad as we've been at Dallas over the last 6 years or whatever it's been, since 2017 that we won, I think that there should not be any intimidation. There should not be any reason really why the Eagles can't go in there and win. Like they cannot stop the run, and that's an area where we should be able to continue to emphasize. So I'm just saying, like, there's a very realistic chance in my mind. It's like, okay, 5-2 against Cincinnati, 6-2 after Jacksonville, 7-2 after the Dallas game, and then you host Washington. If we're 7-2 hosting Washington on a Thursday Night Football game, which, by the way, Thomas and I will be there, the rest of the season, you still have some challenges. Yep, you've got LA, you've got Baltimore after that. Pittsburgh looks a lot better. Russell Wilson, probably better for that offense in the long haul. But just saying, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, as I normally am, but I'm just taking the good from that, what we've seen, and Sky saying minus Ravens, we should win out. I don't know about that necessarily, but yeah, I think there's definitely a reason in my mind. Like, if I'm looking at it, division is very much possible. One of the top NFC teams is very much possible. Heck, I mean, I'll put the standings up. Let's see if I can get the screen to work properly for me so we can see it. Have to zoom in quite a bit. Here we go. That's better, at least. Yeah, as far as, let's see, NFC. There we go. Yeah, I mean, NFC teams, we've talked about this a little bit before. But there's honestly one team right now in the NFC, and we don't have to get into AFC because it doesn't really matter necessarily until you get to the Super Bowl. But there's one team that is, I think far above, or at least one of those right now where we're seeing they're firing all cylinders. They look dangerous. It would be a very, very difficult game for anybody. But it's Detroit. You saw what Detroit did, and shout out to Minnesota. I mean, they're doing crazy things. Brian Flores deserves a ridiculous amount of credit for that defense. Their offense is also playing, yes, at a high level. Sam Darnold, I probably won't believe it no matter what they do the rest of the season. I just won't. Even if they make the playoffs, even if they're the top NFC team, it's just not a squad that I'll believe. But Detroit, I would. So, yeah, Ben Johnson, all the creativity, everything there. Other than that, though, I would take our chances. I'm not saying that we're like, oh, for sure the favorite, going to win all these games. I mean, Tampa, yes, they have the Eagles' number, but like, gosh, they could miss playoffs after. 4-3. Mike Evans is out until week 11 or 12 at the very earliest because of his hamstring injury. Ridiculous, terrible injury to Chris Godwin that was meaningless. I hated to see him out there when the game was already, it was already decided. I don't know why he was out there, but the season-ending injury to Godwin. So, I don't know. Tampa could be looking at a difficulty to even make playoffs at that point. Atlanta does not scare me. Yes, they beat us, but that still does not scare me. It was a fluke thing in my mind. Chicago, cool, great. Caleb Williams, nah, we already beat Green Bay. Washington, yes, they're difficult and tough. Like Jaden Daniels is good, but he's still a rookie. And the longer this season goes on, he's also banged up with the ribs. I think he's day to day. Maybe that are questionable, but even healthy, the longer the season goes, the more film, the more tape you get on somebody. And it's like, oh, okay, maybe we can adjust things. Maybe we can take some things away. So, and again, I already mentioned Minnesota. So ultimately, it's just one team for me personally. We could throw San Francisco in there. They're not there in the top 10 based on records because they're 3-4. But I hear you. You could throw in San Francisco. But the injuries that they've had too, I mean, they've had a bad way. Brandon Ayuk out for the season. Christian McCaffrey, I suppose at some point might come back. But they're just kind of all out of sorts. And you're seeing Brock Purdy that's not had everyone there, not had all of his weapons, and he struggled more, understandably. That usually happens without your weapons. But I don't know. There's definitely a chance. Daniel, okay, he said he's doubtful versus the Bears. I wasn't sure. I'd heard day-to-day or questionable, but Jaden Daniels doubtful, which is the team, by the way, that flexed us out of the spot. So while we're playing Cincinnati much earlier. But anyway, I'm going to go maybe another 5 or 10 minutes here. Last minute Q&A, questions, thoughts, anything else you want to throw out there. Obviously, we started this thing with just the Eagles trade rumors, who they are linked to, any potentials of what they might make happen. Obviously, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby are the big names. We've seen some others, more of your, kind of somewhat realistic guys, maybe. I think Cody Benjamin, I believe, from CBS had put together a list of several different potential pass rushers. Some that are pipe dreams, some that are more realistic. But ultimately, I think that the Eagles are probably less likely to go with a big blockbuster name, and then maybe get someone like rotationally. That's at least where I'm leaning anyway. Tyler, that is true. Bears will live and die by the progression of Caleb Williams. Let's see. While we're getting any last-second questions, comments, thoughts there, Psych Motor says thoughts on BVS being the starting fullback. Heck yeah. I didn't even really mention that too much, so I'm glad you brought that up. But Ben Van Sumeren as the starting fullback / special teams ace has been great. I love getting him on the lead ISO, the couple different plays that he set up Saquon Barkley. It's just a different look. But yes, you get a little physicality, somebody who's not afraid to hit. Plus, Ben Van Sumeren was a fullback in college, so he's used to it. He's got a ton of athleticism. He's one of the most athletic guys on the team. So I absolutely love it. Ray, Jerry's selling Dallas. Yeah, he's doing a lot. Up front, officially saying if you're going to trade away a first, go for Crosby. Okay. Well, Myles Garrett has 50% of the votes at this point. Yeah, 50% out of the 754 votes, if you could only choose one. Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby. That is Myles Garrett with 50% of those. So, but yes, I would say it was nice to just see a fullback back there, period. I mean, honestly, just the physical run game. Andrew saying I need Ben to get a neck roll and visor, switch his number to 40. It'd be appropriate, but, they got him on both sides there, linebacker and fullback. You're right, though. If he continues to stick to that side, then yes. Let's see. Xander, can we run it one time for the chat? BVS, maybe potentially a tight end, more so a fullback, but Jack Dwight, appreciate the 2. Says with a good GM, our safeties are Branch and Hamilton. Well, but hindsight's 2020. I mean, we could. I'm not. It's a very very aggressive take, Jack. I mean, you could go probably, heck, we could play this game with just about any GM. You want to go back to picks that they missed? Yes, you're right. Like, you could have Brian Branch. You could have Kyle Hamilton. but you're also taking away guys that are not on this team either. So, yes, those are the non-hits. Sure, everyone agrees, understand that. But again, I mean, how many drafts can we go back to and say so and so missed out on this guy or that guy? Like there's a ton of, and that's what's fun about the draft, but it's also what makes it the crapshoot that it is. I wouldn't say definitely not with a good GM. I would say you could say with a different GM, our safeties would be Branch and Hamilton. But still, it totally changes everything else. Yes, I would have loved Brian Branch as well, but it's still very early. I'm not saying that Nolan Smith is going to get to that level of a Brian Branch, and there was a thought even as we were doing the draft night saying like, all right, hey, let's maybe make that happen. But, you miss him. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you make it up for trades. Yes, Howie has missed on trades as well. Heck, like Kevin Byard, I think he's like the third or second highest rated safety this year. So, I mean, I don't know if that's Howie with a trade, or maybe that's more so speaking to defensive coordinators probably not using Kevin Byard in the right way at all. Because he's not washed. I mean, he's playing much better in Chicago. But yeah, Jack's a troller at this point. I can see Jack's comments. Face it, Howie blows. Yeah, appreciate it, Jack. Come on. Yeah, there's a lot of other GMs who've made mistakes and also don't understand how to work contracts. So even if Howie hasn't had the best draft track record or history, that's a little wild, a little out there. And like the other Jack Straw says, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, these aren't too bad. Xander Smith saying, Josh, I got to say, appreciate your content on a different level as an Eagles diehard. You and Thomas are the GOATs. Thank you. We appreciate that. It has been a blast this year. Not going to lie. I mean, you guys know that, but you all make it possible. Whole lot of fun. A blast during the live streams, too. I mean, just streaming for every game. I believe, somebody said Jack's a bot. Yeah, he might be a bot. I believe we're going to try to stream during the playoffs, obviously for the Eagles games. We might try to stream for other NFC games as well. So, hopefully it's like a scouting of opponents of sorts. But, yeah, we're going to try to do that as much as we can. But have a blast. Try to crank out as many videos and recaps and everything else. But appreciate you guys. I'm going to wrap it on that one, though. Again, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, because the Saquon Barkley signed helmet back there, giving that away once I hit 80,000 subscribers. So we're a little less than 2,000 subscribers away. Make sure to do that. Also, again, a reminder, Friday night Hangout, it will be for everyone, but I'm going to be spinning for all members of the channel. That'll have, you're already entered as a member for the ticket giveaway, any Eagles game of your choice. And then also, final shout out to Underdog, official sponsor of the channel. The reason we can do so many giveaways. Make sure if you're not already, use code Philly Special, scan the QR code. There's a link in the description. Get your bonus bets. They're offering bonus bets during the NBA season, especially for this first week tip-off, where you get 20% bonus. So appreciate you guys. That's going to do it. Until next time, stay tuned. More videos to come. Everything else, you guys are the best. And you know what it is. Go Birds.